Hello and welcome back to the Southwest Snooker Academy here in Gloucester for the second session in this year's Parris Q's Champion of Champions. If you tuned in earlier, you saw our opening match on the live stream table between Faisal Butt and Mike Bust, which Faisal won 3-1. And we're delighted to bring you coverage here from our Group 7 tournament here in Gloucester, which is for players with visual impairments. And it brings together two players who know each other very well. We've got Neale, who is a 7-time champion in Group 7 events, and Mike Gillespie, who is a previous winner of an event in Derby. It's going to be a best of 7 frames match. They both have already played earlier today. They're both already on one win, so you would suggest whoever wins this match is pretty much assured of qualification, although the results could go in a way that 3 players could all be on 2 wins, but we'll worry about that later on. Certainly whoever wins this will be in a strong position. My name's Michael Day and I'm going to be with you for the entire match this afternoon. We are streaming live on Facebook throughout the weekend, so if you're want to ask a question about World Disability Billiards and Snooker, or about the venue itself, then please get in touch with us. We'd be delighted to answer your questions and queries. If you weren't here earlier on, this is the Parris Q's Champion of Champions, so it brings together champions of the WDBS circuit from the last 12 months and the best performing players as well. So this is a real prestigious invitational event on the calendar. Everybody collectively is playing for the Nick Oliver Trophy, but there are 6 individual competitions going on throughout the weekend, and each one of those competitions are players with similar disabilities, so disability categories are represented pretty much here this weekend. Apart from the wheelchair final, which is a one-off final match, all the other tournaments are played in round robin, either groups of 3 or 4. Round robin action takes place throughout today and tomorrow morning session, and top 2 from each group will progress to tomorrow afternoon's final, which is due to take place at around 2 o'clock. You will see on the edges of the screen players and the movement around from the other tables. We are playing here at the fantastic Southwest Snooker Academy here in Gloucester. And there are I think about 6 or 7 matches elsewhere in action throughout the arena. So it's very busy in there. We will try and keep you posted with the latest scores and results elsewhere in other groups. But if you want to go over and check that now, or want to be sort of regularly updated, please visit the new tournament manager system that the World Professional Billiards and Snooker Association has, and it's called snookerscores.net. It's a fantastic new system that has several really unique and fantastic features. And one of the features is obviously live scoring from other tables. You can also look at the draws and latest results from earlier today in the morning session. So this is Mike Gillespie at the table, playing in the sort of burgundy shirt here. A very familiar face on the WDBS circuit. Like I say, back in 2017 he won his debut title at the Paul Hunter Disability Classic in Derby. And since then he's reached 3 finals as well. Just a little bit of a scrappy start here. As we mentioned earlier on the stream, this is probably going to be very different conditions to what the majority of these players are used to. We go to some fantastic venues across the UK and beyond on the circuit, but it's nothing quite like being at the academy here with fantastic Zingpai tables and the conditions. It's a real test for even the top players here on the WDBS circuit. So that's a nice reply there from Mike after initially missing the red. Nick really has been the complete dominant force on the WDBS circuit for the last sort of around 18 months, you would say. He's on a real sort of hot streak of form. He won this event last year where he beat Paul Smith in the final. In fact, in the last 7 visually impaired events on the WDBS circuit, he's won every single one of them. So that sort of says how dominant he has been on the scene. But, you know, this is going to be a close affair, I'd feel. They played in the Derby Open final back at the Cue Ball in May. And it was a fantastic match. Nick, it's best of 5. Nick went 2-0 up, and it looked as if he was going to come in and take the title. But Mike fought back really well. He won the 3rd frame, then he made a 70-odd break in the 4th frame to force it to a decider. But Nick managed to just get over the line. So there is a good rival here between these two, and a lot of experience and play, a lot of talent as well. So could go either way here. But like I say, they both started their campaigns with wins earlier on today. Nick beat Wales's Ronnie Allen by 4 frames to 1. Whilst Mike beat Gary Gallagher of Scotland 4 frames to 0. So hopefully that will have settled them in. It's a bit of a scrappy opening frame here. The black's not in a great position, and the reds are sort of bunched up as well, so not a great scoring opportunity if someone did get in. Earlier on in this year as well, in the summer at Newport in Cwmbran in Wales, Nick Neale won the Welsh Open, which is a 6 reds event open to players with all disabilities. So that's one of the bigger titles on the circuit as well. He managed to win that for the first time. You may have also seen him at the Crucible Theatre when we had the WDBS Tour Championship that took place in August. Nick just lost out to deaf player Shabir Ahmed in a black ball tiebreaker in the semi-finals. Then Shabir actually went on to win the title. He beat Daniel Blood in the final. You'll see at the bottom of the screen there, one of the nice features of the new system that we have is you can see the player's average shot time. Both players are quite nippy players. There won't be, when they are in the ball sort of scoring, they won't take too long to do it. You'll have seen earlier on today Faisal Butt, who played, he was averaging, well, he was beneath 15 seconds at one point, which is very quick. That's sort of up there, sort of along the same pace as Stepchire and Neale on the professional circuit. So wasted no time there. Yes, I don't think this is the ideal start for either player, really. I'm sure they would have wanted a more open frame than this. But as I sort of mentioned earlier on, it's about getting the W next to your name. So even if it is to continue to be scrappy, these are the frames when you win, you really take a lot from, and it can take a lot from your opponent as well. So very important to get a good start, even though it is best of 7. And this frame is only getting uglier by the second, isn't it? Every shot, the black really is covered up there, and the other colours are in the top half of the table. See Nick trying to get the balls moving, trying to make something happen, but unfortunately for him, it's a pretty grim outcome. did move the majority of the reds there, so opened it up slightly, but until a colour's readily available, it's can be very difficult to make anything sort of valuable here. So whilst we've got an opportunity, whilst this frame's a bit scrappy, we'll just quickly have a look to see what other games are in action around the arena here at the Southwest Snooker Academy. Over on table number 2, we've got a match from our groups 4 and 5 tournament between Daniel Blum and David Church. Now, David Church and Daniel Blum both won here at the Championships last year. Since then, the categories have sort of been sort of divided and realigned, so they're now playing in the same group. Daniel Blum actually earlier lost to Mickey Chambers 3-2, so this is a crucial game for him. It's currently the first frame. He's on a break of 13 and he's got a 17-point advantage. Over on table number 3, it's a match between Peter Geronimo and Christopher Goldsworthy in a Group 6B event for players with intellectual impairments. That's very early stages, and that is only 10 points to 6 to Peter. Table number 5 features 2 players in our deaf players group. It's Blake Munton and Shabir Ahmed. Shabir currently leads 28 points to 1. And the other matches in the arena, we've got Faisal Butt, who we saw earlier. He's playing Warren Ely on table number 7. Table number 8 is the other match in our deaf players group between Lewis Knowles, who's the defending champion, and Nicholas Cash. And on table number 10, we've got Mickey Chambers against William Thompson of Scotland, and that's a game in the groups 4 and 5 category. But as I say, if you want up-to-date ball-by-ball live scoring, please head over to snookerscores.net and you can see all the results and score lines there. So it's a good return there from Mike after his initial miss. That's a nice settler there for Mike. Now, is this an opportunity to perhaps get the blue on its own spot? Certainly give both players more options for the remainder of the frame. Yep, nice pot. Didn't have much angle to play with, so sort of tried to crash the cue ball out as much as he could. But again, this is sort of really tough if he wants to continue the break after this red. It actually looks as if he's careering into the pack of reds and the black here, so he might just be taking the red and then playing a good safety afterwards. Well, you see there, he really tried to get some action on that cue ball. It's a good pot, especially hitting it that hard. But now it's time to play a telling safety, you'd feel. So perhaps now is a good time to quickly talk about the players whilst we've still got this sort of deadlock really in the frame. So a little bit about Nick. We said about his recent tournament records, incredibly impressive. Really owned the Group 7 events in recent times. He's 47 years old. He's from Birmingham. He actually has a table in his house, so he plays the majority of his snooker and practice at home, but he also plays at the Q Bar in Aldridge. He has previously had a 147 break in practice as well, so that's tells you the sort of standard that he is able to reach. And both him and Mike they've also played on the World Senior circuit as well. They've played in qualifying events with other able-bodied players, so they're really sort of keen players of the game. Mike is a little bit older. He's 58 years old. He's from Hull. His club venue, and he's very proudly wearing it on his waistcoat, is the Tradewell Snooker Centre in Hull, which is a very familiar venue to us on the WDBS circuit. We generally visit there a couple of times a year. So the issue of this black ball hasn't been resolved. If anything, it's got worse again. The balls have sort of surrounded the black. Wow, that's an exquisite shot, isn't it? Fantastic. And Mike has already shown us his ability for long potting. He's cracked in a couple of fantastic long balls already. And with this cluster of red so close to the left-hand pocket, both players would be reluctant to play anything too thick, in fear of pushing one of the reds over the bottom left-hand pocket as we look at it. That's another nice mid-range pot from Mike. Unfortunately, all these nice shots that he has produced in this opening frame really haven't amounted to too much because of the position of the colours. So just safety again for Mike. That red has just snuck him into the lead, but just 1 point advantage. Now, how aggressive is he going to play this safety? He could elect to try and bring as many reds as he wants to out into play, or he might just play, really thin off the top red. That's what he's elected to do. It's a bit hard to tell here whether Nick has got away with that or whether Mike can just get to the potting angle of this red. Well, that tells us that he can. Oh, where's this cue ball going? Well, that's not very good for Mr. Gillespie. And again, he's really, both players are unable to get any sort of rhythm going here with the way the colours are. Hit that a bit on the thick side, but he has brought the black slightly more into play. So that could change the scenario in this frame. That's a very good return there from Mike. I would say he's probably got used to the conditions a little bit quicker than Nick has. Well, that was a rather favourable use of the knuckles there. And again, that's a really nice shot from Mike. And that's a really good return from Mike Gillespie there. It looked as if he was in a little bit of trouble trying to get the cue ball back, but not only has he managed to avoid cannoning any other reds, he's got a really good length of cue ball. referee for this match is Jeff Fox from Plymouth. It's not Derek Brown as it says on the graphics on the screen. I think there was a change of referees for this session. We've got about 8 or 9 referees from England and Wales who have travelled up to Gloucester for this weekend's event. We're obviously very grateful here on the WDBS circuit for the time and dedication that they continue to produce when they come to our events and officiate throughout. Well, another example of how tight these pockets are. I think on the majority of tables we play on the circuit that would have gone in. Just wondering whether he's covered this red with one of the other reds, so he might need to plant this in. And indeed he was covered on the red, so I had to use another red to pot it. Unfortunately, it's not worked out for Nick. Unfortunately for Mike, that's not turned out well. I think there's a little bit of confusion there with the referee about what colour he was nominating. I think that's what the conversation was about between the players and the referee. And that's all really Mike could do with the red up in the bulk area. Playing a containing safety. Oh, that's a very good return there from Nick Neale. I would suggest this is quite tricky to get out of. We've got 3 of the reds in the open. You've got another red close to the black. So Mike would do pretty well here to get out of this snooker and leave it safe. Yeah, that was always the problem with the way the reds were set. If there was a red towards the cushion, he could have perhaps nestled onto it, but it was very unlikely that he was going to leave all the reds safe. But again, with the pink, blue up the table and the black out of commission at the minute, it's very difficult to make any sort of valuable contribution. That's a nice pot on the blue. Unfortunately, he's just the wrong side of this red though, so he'll do well to extend the break beyond this. But that's a nice safety from Nick. So again, the frame's still in the balance with one red remaining, just 7 points difference. Well, that's a little bit unfortunate to actually go in off there. Perhaps he's left Mike a tempter at this red, or he might feel it's time to play a really good safety. And although the colours, except for the blue, the only blue on its own spot, they're not in bad positions here for a clearance. So this red is pretty crucial. Beautiful shot. Fantastic shot there from Neale. The only problem is that the red is sort of stuck to the top cushion here, so Mike could just try to sort of dribble onto this. I don't think the red will be available past the black into the bottom right hand pocket as we look at it. This looks a good effort. Yeah, that's a nice shot there from Mike. Very nice shot indeed. Yeah, it was just a brief anxious moment there from Nick. He was just concerned that he might have pushed the red over the pocket. As it is, this looks pretty awkward because Mike can only hit the right side of the red as we're looking at it. And of course, that's very dangerously close to the jaws of the pocket, so that's why he's playing it cushion first. The referee, Jeff Fox, has got to be a little bit careful. He's just watching, making sure he doesn't clip the black on the way through. No, but it's a good shot. I don't think I'm going to like his next shot, though. Yeah, back in another snooker. So this could be the crucial avenue in this frame. Yeah, that was nowhere near really, and Nick's not going to ask for these to be put back. Well, I'm sure he would have preferred it to have clipped the top jaw of the middle pocket there, but for a player of Nick's calibre, it should be bread and butter. But there is pressure on this red. Yeah, it's a nice shot. Now, is the cue ball going to hold up in time? Just about. And that's pretty good. Wow. I can only assume that that's a horrible miscue there. Horrible, horrible. Now, I know in modern times about different tips and getting kicks and things like that, but that's a horrid thing for Nick to happen to Nick there. Looked absolutely plumb in to win the frame, but it's a really unexpected opportunity now for Mike. I think we're just having a little issue here with the scoring. The scoring is fed through to us from the actual arena. The referee actually has a zapper and in real time updates the scores after every shot, and then that information gets sent to us afterwards. When Mike does come back to the table, he's got an opportunity on this green. It's not easy by any means, but he'll just be happy to be back at the table. Okay, so all the admin's done, but unfortunately for Mike that's not quite there. So you can see the average shot times there. Mike's just beneath 24 seconds. Nick's around the 17-second mark. I expect both those shot times to actually get quicker as the match goes on. Now I think Nick might have just popped out to the loo or had a comfort break or something, because we see the referees put the zapper down, so I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. Yes, we're in a different room to the actual match arena, so I really don't know what's what's happened at the minute. I can only presume Nick's gone out to the toilet or something like that. So we'll be back with you when he returns. Okay, so Nick's back in the arena. Still the same scoreline, so 9 points difference with 25 on. It has been a really scrappy frame. There's been some diamonds in the rough. There's been some fantastic long potting from both players, but it's not the start neither one would have liked. Now this is a fantastic opportunity for Mike Gillespie to take the opening frame. Needs up to and including the pink. And that's pretty good. He's probably going to have to top this through. Or is he going to screw back? No, it looks as if he's straight enough to screw it back. Oh, and it was the pressure ball, wasn't it? You could see he just took a couple more seconds than what he usually would. He realised that was virtually frame ball, because I don't think he would have missed blue and pink. So anyway, opportunity for now for Nick to take the opening frame. 10 in front, so just needs the blue to leave Mike needing snookers. Although just one snooker, so I should imagine he'll carry on for a while. That's a lovely shot to finish the frame. No problems there. So it was a longer frame than expected. It was a scrappy one, but Nick Neale takes the opening frame and he leads Mike Gillespie 1-0. So we're back here for the second frame of this match between Mike Gillespie and Neale in the Group 7 event here at the 2019 Parris Q's Champion of Champions. It's a pretty scrappy opening frame. Neither player managed to get into any sort of rhythm. That's because of the way the balls were. This match is the best of 7 frames. As we mentioned earlier, each individual competition is played in round robins, so players of either 3 or 4. And the top 2 from each event will then progress to the final on Sunday afternoon. A little bit short for the blue. A bit disappointed there, Nick, because he did have options on getting on several colours. Now, is he going to be tempted with this blue into the green pocket? He's a little bit hampered by the pink. Yeah, that's probably the right decision here at the start of the frame. And he would have been gutted if he'd lost the last frame, because he had that horrible miscue on the green and it looked as if he was going to clear up to take the frame. Thankfully for him, though, Mike didn't capitalise on that. That's a good return from Mike, just managed to miss a double kiss. We'll just quickly check in with the results elsewhere and the latest scores in the arena. So over on table number 2, Daniel Blunn has taken the opening frame against David Church in the Group's 4-5 event, although David Church is slightly in front in frame 2. It's still the opening frame between Peter Geronimo and Christopher Goldsworthy in our Group 6B event. Still the opening frame there. And Shabir Ahmed's taken the opening frame against Blake Munton over on table number 5. It's a nice shot there from Nick. Although this is going to be a tricky pink if he elects to take it on. Yeah, it's a nice shot. I think he would have preferred that pink spot to be covered. I think he would have liked the pink to go on the black spot. So he's going to have to create something here to get the cue ball out. And that's not too bad. He's got a couple of options here. Might look at the red in the middle pocket. There's a bit of pressure attached to the red just beneath the black. So it feels as if this is a bit of a safer option. Break moves on to 16. Just overcooked. So the opportunity's been passed straight over to Mike Gillespie now. Let's see what he can do. Yeah, it was a bit of a tricky one, wasn't it? Just trying to keep hold of position on either the pink or black. Nice shot from Nick there. You can see he was a bit reluctant getting the long rest out or anything like that. He was managed to sort of twist himself to get over to that ball. And straight away he's back in the business end here, isn't he? So opportunity to open a really good advantage in this second frame. As we mentioned earlier in the match, Nick actually plays the majority of his snooker at a table that he's got in his own home, so I'm sure he spends a lot of his spare hours on that table. Well, stopped in his tracks there. I thought that was a really good recovery, but just shows how unforgiving these pockets are on these sort of professional setup tables. And the break finishes at 22. But once again, Mike is unable to capitalise on Nick's error. Nicely played. Perfect position on the red. What a contrast this frame is compared to the opening frame. And we actually saw this earlier in our opening game between Faisal Butt and Michael Bust, where they're really sort of long, protracted opening frame, and then Faisal sort of put his scoring boots on in the second. And the same here for Nick. He'll be very pleased that he's been able to get his cue arm going. Slightly hampered by that red there. Shouldn't pose him too much of a problem, though, you'd feel. Perhaps that was a better shot than it looked, and he was pretty straight on that black, so he's done well to manufacture an angle out of that. And if he pots this red, he'll be 59 up with 59 available. He's pretty good on the pink, so in rapid time it looks as if Nick Neale's going to double his advantage here. But he's missed it. So the frame is still live. 59 down, 59 on. Mike is still in this frame. Not sure if that was a heavy contact or not, or whether that was Mike's own error there, but he's not happy with that outcome. But he's still got a fighting chance in this frame. 51 down, 51 down, 51 on. So that's 2 reds with 2 blacks. Still a lot more work to be done though. And with Nick potting that red, it's almost certain that that will secure him the second frame here. Mike does come back to the table though. He's fully entitled to. He's 44 down, 35 on. So currently would need 3 4-point snookers. So very unlikely indeed, and even more so now with putting the red over the pocket. So this really will be the final nail in the coffin of this frame. Lovely shot there from Nick. It's really showing us this frame already, what he's capable of. And that's a lovely finish from the final red there from Nick Neale, and he doubles his profit. He's 2-0 up in this race to 4. We'll be back with frame 3 shortly. So we're back here with frame 3 in this Group 7 match at the Parris Q's Champion of Champions between Mike Gillespie, who's at the table, and Nicholas Neale. Two really contrasting frames, haven't they? The opening frame was a long one, sort of around 40 minutes. Really scrappy, the balls went ugly, but last frame, Nick Neale doubled his lead in super quick time. Matches in this group are best of 7s, and that's the same with Groups 6B, which we'll be seeing later on this evening, and Group 8, which is our group for deaf players. All the other groups in the round robin stage, they're going to be playing best of 5s. If you do have any questions for us about the WDBS, any queries, anything like that, then please message us on either Facebook or through the chat avenue on the live stream today, Facebook Live. We're more than happy to get one of the team to answer your questions. And if you feel this is something you want to be involved with, by all means pop over to our website, which is www.wdbs.info, where we've got all information and details there about events coming up and all of our disability classifications and criteria. Anyway, in the meantime, it's nice little early opportunity for Mike Gillespie, although that black's gone a little bit astray, and this is a trickier red than what it should have been. Might not be too bad if that blue passes the yellow into the yellow pocket, which I think it does. Yeah, that's a nice shot, nice recovery. You will need another one here though. Yeah, it wasn't easy. Now, what damage can Nick do here? Well, that's gone wrong. Perhaps play that a little bit too quickly, and he'll be upset with that. Because there's an opportunity to perhaps make a small break there and take the lead. big hello and thank you to everybody who is watching the stream with us today. We are going to be streaming another match at the 4:30 session. Then we'll also be with you first thing tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for the last round of group games. And at around 2 o'clock, we're hoping that all 6 finals will kick off at the same time here in the arena at the Southwest Snooker Academy. We are, of course, very thankful to the tournament sponsor, John Parris of John Parris Cues, for his ongoing support and sponsorship of this event. It is the second edition of this. We came to the Academy last year. And we're also very grateful to Johnny Fizz of Fizz Thinks 360, who is the overall 2019-20 season sponsor for the WDBS. It's a nice cut on the red from Mike. Looks as if he's got an ideal angle on this yellow to come back down towards the reds. Well, it wiped its feet, but it's there. That cue ball's run on further than what he would have liked, but still, yeah, it's just he had an opportunity of potting one of those reds, but either one was tricky, so just decided to go for cover. Now then, is Mike going to be tempted by this black? He certainly knows if he pots it, he could harvest further points for him, but he also realises that there's pressure on it if he misses with the rest as well, so even more trickier. That's a lovely shot. Very pleased with the outcome there. Not sure if the black passes the red into the bottom left-hand pocket as we look at it, so might need to be looking at either the pink or get into the black so we can pot into the bottom right hand pocket. I think he's just got an awkward angle on both reds here. Well, Maybe the black does know he's looking up the table, so he had very little to work with both angles on both of those reds. He was a bit unfortunate really, because it was a really nice pot on the black with the rest. Yep, so Mike's got a small advantage here in frame 3. But that could certainly change very quickly, especially with Neale at the table. As we see there, that was a nice pot from Nick. Lovely shot. Didn't have much angle to play with there, but played it with side. Back down for the reds. He's looking a lot more comfortable than the opening frame, which was a bit of a struggle for both players. See Nick's average shot time there, it's just under 18 seconds, which is pretty nippy. Well, won't be happy with that. Again, you've really got to treat the middle pockets on these tables with respect. Most other tables that we play on, that probably would have gone in, so opportunity missed for Nick, and Mike's back on the table, although it's going to be difficult to score many from here with the way the 4 remaining reds are next to the black. Although he has got 1 red in the open. Yeah, he was attempting a containing shot there, Nick was. He was very limited with what he could do, being so hampered. Nice pot from Mike. Not sure if he's going to be interested with this red. I think he realises that he's got a small advantage here, which could be crucial in determining who wins this 3rd frame. Doesn't want to throw the advantage away again, although that has gone very wrong. I'm not sure if he was playing the reds into the other reds there, but he certainly didn't want the red to be stuck up over the pocket. Now, how's Nick going to play this here? Good effort. Might just have too much of an angle here to go into the reds, so He's managed to hold on to this one that's in the open though, and I think it passes the other 2 reds, so chance to get right back into it here. That's a lovely shot. Played it with run inside. I think he's just got enough of an angle to develop one of these reds on the cushion. Unfortunately, he hit it full ball and double kiss. They didn't move, but he's made a nice little break of 16 here. Can play a good safety, and the frame is very much in the balance. Good chance here for Nick to play a telling snooker or safety. Well, he sort of erred on the side of caution there. He could have perhaps tried to have got a little bit closer to the black, but needs to play a good one here. And he's hit that way too thick now. Is he going to leave anything on? I'm surprised Nick hasn't come and had a look at this red at the towards the black. I thought that he might have fancied his chances of potting that, but anyway, played safe. He hasn't really got it that safe, so might have been an error there from Nick. Although that's a bit of a lash from Mike, it has to be said. Just 2 points of difference with 2 reds remaining. Now then, chance for Nick, although with the other red he did push the last remaining red safe. Yeah, he didn't really have an opportunity there to move the red, so perhaps he's going to take the double on here. Could play it with an element of safety as well. And again, that middle pocket hasn't been too friendly to Nick today. He's had a couple sort of spit back out again. And straight away, it's half an opportunity for Mike Gillespie. Although surely the brown is going to play a big role in the conclusion of this frame. That was a nice shot. Edges him back in front. Now then, has he developed that too much? It looks very, very thin and very difficult to control, so he is turning it down. It's a little bit unfortunate the way that came out, although he'd be very pleased with that outcome. Wow, wow. And Nick will be delighted with that. So, bit of an interesting passage of play. Just 3 points difference between the pair. So as it stands, both need blue and pink to take the frame. As we can see on the screen, the pink isn't in a great position, so could be still quite a bit of snooker involved in this frame. And it's such a big frame in the context of the match, isn't it? If Nick wins this frame, he's one away from victory. You would suggest being 3-0 down to Neale is a real mountain to climb, especially the form that he's in for Mike. So, but he also realises if he can nick this frame, he's right back in it. Although that has gone wrong, the pink is now in the middle of the table, and it's half an opportunity for Nick here. And that's a beautiful shot. So just the pink, and he'll be 3-0 up. Wow, again, another example of how unforgiving these pockets are. I'm sure when the cue ball left his tip, I'm sure he thought that was going in. But anyway, another unexpected opportunity for Mike Gillespie here. Where's this pink going? Wow. How crucial could that be in the context of the match? Now, he's just got to hold himself together for this black. What a turnaround this has been. And there we go. So, Mike Gillespie holds on. He takes frame 3, and it's 2 frames to 1. Ladies event last November. Okay, so we're back with frame 4 here in this match between Mike Gillespie and Nick Neale. What an unexpected ending it was to frame 3. Nick Neale put a terrific blue into a corner pocket, and he looked almost certain to deposit the pink as well. He did throw out the middle pocket, and then Mike Gillespie attempted a long pot on the pink, fluked it, landed pretty much perfect on the black, and it's 2-1. And talking of flukes, there's another unexpected pot. It's not going to be nowhere near as crucial as the pink that Mike Gillespie fluked a few minutes ago, though. But it has afforded him a snooker. Lovely pot there from Nick, and it'll be interesting to see how he reacts after that disappointment of the last frame. I'm sure it won't bother him too much. He's still in control of the match, still favourite to win, but, well, might not be feeling so good now after missing that pink. Well, I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but I can only assume that he feathered the cue ball. So that's a bit annoying for Mike, especially with the brown over the middle pocket. There is a little error on the scoreboard. Mike has still got 1 to go, so hopefully we'll see the referee add that very shortly. A little anxious moment there for Nick. Looked as if it was just turning slightly. It might have just gone over a finger mark or something like that, but it did just graze one of the reds on the way through. Nick just took the opportunity there to try and open some of the reds up. Nice shot from Nick. Just having a quick look to see if that black is available into the bottom left-hand pocket. I don't think it is. And even if it was, access to it is pretty much limited with the red very close to it next to it on the right hand side, although he's managed to thread the cue ball there to get onto the pink. Again, another nice shot. Pink spot might be taken by one of these reds. Nope, there's plenty of space, so it stays on its own spot for the time being. We'll quickly check in and have a look at the other scores and results from elsewhere. Over on table number 2, we've got Daniel Blunn, who actually lost his opening game in the morning session to Mickey Chambers 3-2. He's 2-0 up on David Church, although David Church holds an advantage in frame 3, so that could be going 2-1 very shortly. Over on table number 3 in a Group 6B match, we've got Peter Geronimo. He's taken the opening frame against Christopher Goldsworthy, although Christopher is leading in frame 2. And over on table number 5 in our Group 8 Deaf Players group, Blake Munton is 1-0 with Shabir Ahmed. That's an absolute boomer of a red, isn't it? Fantastic shot again from Nick. Is it just gonna... No, that's disappointing. That's really annoying for him. Just didn't hold up in time. So it's just going to be a safety for Mr. Neale. Now then, how much can he make of this opportunity? Forced to go up the table into the bulk area to start with. Can't really see from this camera angle whether the pink is available into either corner pocket. That will certainly be frustrating for Nick though, missing the yellow off the spot like that. So he's needed to get the long spider out here, the half butt. Now, is he able to get the cue ball out for a colour here? Oh, well, that's turned into a bit of a nightmare for Mike. That's a nice recovery there from Nick. The reds are placed a bit awkwardly though. It looks as if the only red available is one just beneath the pink. That's why he's taken the blue. That's a lovely shot, although we won't want that cue ball being welded to the side cushion, which is where it has ended up. So a tricky one here. And that caused the problem, didn't it? It was hampered by the cushion. Does hold a 39-point advantage though in this frame, so he's looking good to extend his advantage to 3-1. It's just a containing safety there from Nick. It's a pretty good one because he's pushed the red over the middle pocket, so Mike needs to come up with something here to either pot this red or play a really good safety, and he was kind of forced into that pot. Now what damage has he done? He might be getting away with this. Well, it looks as if he has. That's rather fortunate. Well, maybe he can get this, but he is slightly hampered, so no, he couldn't get to the potting angle. Not good for Mike. Felt as if he'd have a go at that red, trying to make something happen in this frame. So it looks as if Nick's going to have to play a little cannon here on one of these reds because they're all sort of covering each other. Yep, just trying to move them. And I think that's a really good shot. I think he's got a choice of reds here. The middle one goes. He wasn't happy with the outcome of that shot though, but he's still at the table. Just the wrong side of the pink. Now, can he get through to this red? Just about. But no good. So 52 points in the up. That was frame ball. So Mike is just about hanging on in this frame. Well, that's a bad error from Mike. He'll be disappointed with that. So second bite of the cherry here for Nick. It's a thin one, but this is effectively frame ball. Pots it. Not perfect on the colour, but main objective has been achieved. And that's a nice follow-up. So he's got the simplest of reds, and surely after the drama of frame 3, Nick is going to put himself one away from another victory here at the Parris Cues Champion of Champions 2019. Yeah, I think there was a slight error with the scoring. I think Mike did pot a red earlier on in the frame, but it hasn't Hasn't played a factor whatsoever. It might have done if the frame got closer. And that's confirmed. So Nick Neale takes frame 4. He's on the hill. He's 3-1 up. Okay, so it's frame 5 here in this match between Mike Gillespie and Nick Neale. Nick is leading 3 frames to 1 in this best of 7 encounter. Just one more frame needed for victory. Mike's just broken off. I think Nick's just waiting for the players on the adjacent table to play their shot. Well, that was a bit too thin. Not too much damage though. And Nick has looked good in spells today. We've had a couple of sort of scrappy passages of play in the match. The opening frame was quite long and protracted. That didn't really suit either player. But since then there's been some good potting. There's been quite a bit of entertainment, a bit of drama as well. Nick will certainly be pleased to bounce back in the last frame after, well, you could say throwing frame 3 away, although Mike did have a exceptional fluke on the pink. Good length of cue ball from Mike. Elsewhere in the arena, we've got several matches currently being played. Over on table number 8 in Group 8, our Deaf Players group. Lewis Knowles, the defending champion, is 1-0 up on Nicholas Cash. And the other match in that tournament, Shabir Ahmed, who's the undisputed king of that group over the last couple of years, he's 2-1 up on Blake Munton. So of course, this being a round robin format, should Mike go on to lose, he would still obviously be alive in the competition. He did win his earlier match today against Gary Gallagher of Scotland. And he is also due to play at 4:30 session against Ronnie Allen of Wales. So if he does go on to lose this game, that would be a crucial match against Ronnie a little bit later on today. But he is still alive in this match here. And as I mentioned back at the Derby Open earlier on in the year at the Cue Ball in May, he was 2-0 down to Nick in the final. Produced some fantastic snooker to level up at 2-all before finally succumbing in the deciding frame. And there'll be no quitting Mike. He'll carry on to the end. Nick will also be playing at 4:30. He's going to be playing Gary Gallagher. Now, can he get through to this pink? Yeah, well, the shake of the head sort of tells us he can't. That would have been a massive bonus if he could have got through to it. Now, you can tell by the shrug of his shoulders there, he didn't want to pot that. He's put himself in a little bit of trouble here. Has to play a good safety. Decided to go for one of the long reds. He has got away with it though, so not too much damage left. That's a good safety from Nick. Now then, does Nick have a starter here? No, he didn't. So it's a little bit fortunate to get away with that, Mike was. Far too thick on that red. Now, can Nick get the motor running here? He can. He's ideal on the pink. All the reds are out in the open. Black is a little bit safe though, so that's against him for the time being. See, Nick's got quicker as the match has gone on. He's now actually underneath the 17-second mark, so that's pretty quick for anybody's standards. Just having to work a little bit here. He's not got perfect angle on either one of these two reds, so he's got to take on the trickier black. Now then, just decided to drop the black in. But I think, well, it must do. This red goes into the middle left-hand pocket. Now, if he can pot this, he really is in with a great opportunity. But no. And again, these middle pockets have really been a foe of his today in this match. You can see he was perfect on the black there. He could have really done some damage, but unfortunately for him it's not gone. So Mike breathes again temporarily. And he he manages to start himself. That's a nice cannon on the green. But that's gone very wrong. He'll be very frustrated with that shot. See the referee, Jeff Fox, just checking to see if it's touching ball. I think it is. Well, it is. He's playing away, so that's at least a consolation for Mike. And he's played that very well. Well, surely that's going to be called a miss. And surely it's going to be put back again. You can see there Nick's just pointing to the referee where the cue ball was. He's obviously trying to nestle up on this red on the top cushion. There's a little bit of traffic here to get to that red. Well, I'm not sure that's the red that he wanted to hit. Now, what has he left for Mike? Terrific shot from Nick. Is the cue ball just going to slow up in time for the blue? It's not gone far enough for the yellow. So options here. He's just going to play the snooker. Oh, he'll be upset with that. Be very upset with that. It was a lovely long red. Unfortunately from the cue ball just travelled up the table a bit too far. But there's no excuse there really for not to get the snooker behind the brown. It's a good return there from Mike. Good length of cue ball. Now, can Nick get through? He could get through to that red closest to the pocket, but he couldn't capitalise. So again, he's really struggling trying to get in here, which could be the decisive break to take him to victory against Mike. But Mike is doing well holding on in there. Well, I can only assume that he thought that was a plant because the way he's played it, there was no holding back there. Well, from our camera angle, it looks as if he could pop the red, but obviously the black is in his way, so Nick really has got away with that. Yeah, that's a massive let-off for Nick Neale. Now, can Mike see enough of this red? Or is the yellow hampering him? Well, it's hard to tell whether or not he could get to the angle of that red. But he's missed it anyway. The red has just held up in time. It's a good opportunity for either player here if they could manufacture an opening. All the reds are down towards the bottom end of the table. The black is a little bit safe, but you've got the pink and blue in the open, as to the bulk colours. But that's a real loose one from Nick. So what can Mike do here? Already leads by 9 points. So then this black could be the key to the frame. Could play it in a way that if he misses it, he covers the same pocket for the reds. So you could play it with a little bit of insurance, but it's hard to tell the angle that he's got here, whether that's a possibility. Well, he played it far too hard for that, and he'll be upset with that. That was a really good opportunity to open a handy advantage. Well, another self-inflicted error there for Nick. So those last two shots for Nick have gone really wrong. Mike's got options here. He can obviously put Nick back because that's been called a miss. He didn't fancy the mid-range red. Nick will probably play the same shot again. He's obviously trying to hit this pink thin to send the cue ball back into bulk or somewhere around there. Obviously the worst case scenario would be hitting this full ball or the other side of the pinks. That's a good shot. It's pretty much as well as what he could have hoped for, really. That's a lovely shot. Yep, continuing to put the brakes on in this frame. That's a nice snooker. Mike's got to Small advantage, 23 points. So he's looking favourite for this frame now. Well, it's a nice hit. Just wondering whether or not there's enough distance between the red and the cue ball here that might just tempt Mike. No, it's a little bit too dangerous, he feels. So again, just trying to nurture this small lead that he has. Well, there was a gap. Didn't look like it from our angle. Thankfully for Mike, though, Nick's cue ball's careered into another red and kept in at this end of the table. So unless he takes something remarkable on, the break's going to finish at 1. And that's a poor one. No excuse for that, really. Lovely shot from Mike there. It's getting closer and closer to the finishing line in this frame. 27 points ahead now. Still 43 on the table, though. A fine effort from Mike there, played it as a shot to nothing. Got very close to the pot. Just sense a little bit of frustration from Nick in this frame. He's gone for a couple of long pots. He's lashed out at a few of them. I was a little bit frustrated from the earlier part of the frame where just couldn't get into the business end of the table. I'm not quite sure how much of the red Nick could hit there, but he's obviously trying to connect it thin, but not too much damage left. Now then, this is a real tester for Mike if he does elect to take this red along the top cushion. I don't think he can really refuse it. Could come up for possibly yellow here. Nice shot. Not ideal on the yellow though. Hasn't got the cue ball out far enough. Might elect to put a colour safe here if he can. Well, he's got it safe, but he has brought the black into play, so... And again, sort of Nick's played that quite quickly, really. He's got away with it. But a couple of times this frame, he's looked a bit frustrated. Now then, does this red pass the black? If it does, this is an opportunity for Nick to counter. It did. He's lost control of the cue ball though. Being 31 points down, he has to pot a colour. You wouldn't expect him to miss this, but there is pressure. Wow. He has. And by missing that, means that he actually needs a snooker, and I think he's conceded. Just get confirmation of that. Yep, quite clearly has. So Mike Gillespie closes the gap again. It's 3 frames to 2. We'll be back with you for frame 6. Okay, welcome back. It's frame 6 here. And as we saw with the last frame, Mike Gillespie's just holding on to his hopes here in this match against Neale. Best of 7 frames encounter. So a maximum of the 2 frames. But Nick will be very keen to get this over and done with as quick as he can. We are live on Facebook throughout the weekend for the Parris Cues Champion of Champions. If you've got any questions or queries about the WDBS, please get in touch with us. Either leave us a message on the live stream or you can contact us on social media. You've just seen over the last frame or so, Nick's been a little bit frustrated with his game. And Mike's first in here. Well, he jumped up a bit there from his cue, didn't he? As soon as he hit it, he was a bit anxious that might have been a bit high, and it was. So then, can Nick calm himself down? But he can't. He's really fighting himself at the minute here. Just feel he just wants really one good opportunity to score some points and reassert his authority here. So that's a nice opening red from Nick. Now, very tricky pink. And again, he just can't get in to the business end of the balls here. He really struggling the last frame or so. Not a bad flick on the green for Mike. Lovely long red there from Mike. And that certainly won't make Nick feel any better. Now, what sort of an angle has he got here on the green? Can he manufacture some sort of an angle to get the cue ball down towards the reds? Or is he going to have to take the yellow one? Yes, it was a bit unfortunate for him. He wasn't perfect on either the yellow or the green, so he couldn't really get close to these reds. Well, that's gone very wrong for Mike. I was about to say he's using his experience here. He realises that Nick isn't quite on song at the minute, so he's trying to apply as much pressure as he can, but let's see how many points Nick can make here. It's going to be tricky because he's potting the black. He's going to be cannoning into the red. Oh, he's played that really well. Nicely controlled. Now, can he calm himself down here and establish some sort of a lead? Gone too far for the red that he tried to play on. Has got this other red as a backup. Wiped its feet, but it's there. It has meant that he is a bit straight on this black though, so his options positionally wise are limited. And that's why he just elected to stun the black in. And that obviously caused problems getting on a red. But nice little break of 24 there from Nick, making him a little bit better. Obviously he would have wanted more. It's a good effort from Nick. Now, pressure on Mike here. Yeah, that's a nice shot. It was also slightly hampered by the red that he was queuing over, so that was a nice pot. It's got options here. Could take the pink, could take the black. Only issue with taking the pink, it could narrow his options on the two reds next to the pink spot. I'm not sure how accessible they will be when the pink is respotted. Well, he's still got enough He's got enough space there to play with, perhaps later on in the break if he chooses to. Now, is he going to play a cannon here? No, he elected to play up the table, and that's a nice shot. He's going to hold up in time for the bulk colours. So the added bonus of pushing a red up towards the bulk area. So that's worked out pretty well for Mike. Yep, I think he's going to be okay when the yellow gets spotted. And that yellow actually puts him back into the lead. You could visibly see that he was a bit uncomfortable with the rest there. And he won't be too happy with that effort either, trying to get the snooker behind the brown. So the break ends. He has managed to get himself back into the lead though, but it's only 3 points this frame. Really is up for grabs still. And straight away, he's got another half opportunity here with a red along the top cushion. By no means a gimme. But if he can drop it in and get position on the black, he could move further in front. Yes, it wasn't the most straightforward of reds. Nick's got a very similar shot himself, but he manages to navigate it. So, can he compose himself here? Well, that's far from perfect. He's overhit that by a good foot or so. Yeah, he could only really drop the red in. He couldn't force an angle out. Nope. So his effort finishes at 9, and that puts him back in front. That's a good cue ball from Mike. I think Nick is in a little bit of trouble here with the red so close to the corner pocket. So he's just trying to trickle up to these two reds. Well, he wasn't exactly how he played it, but he'll be certainly happy with the outcome. He'll be very happy with the outcome. And there could be a bit of tip and tap here with the way the red is over the corner pocket. If a player could get the cue ball into the top right-hand part of the table, there is a wall of balls. There's green, blue and brown, perhaps to hide behind. Yeah, but we might see a few of these shots coming up. Well, Mike elected to play the brave shot there, and I think he's been rewarded, although it's hard to tell if there is a gap. But he did actually play the red into the red, so he tried to disturb the danger area. It's proved to be the right decision, I think. You can see here Nick's jacking his cue up, so he's just bending it slightly. And there we go. That good safety from Mike has allowed him the first opportunity at this red. Yeah, the problem with that shot is he knew he was going straight into the red, so it's very difficult to control. I thought he might have played it with slightly less pace and try and push the black over corner pocket, but he is still a bit unfortunate to have the cue ball on the side cushion. You can see him just... I think there was an incident earlier on in the match where the referee asked him to nominate a colour, and I think they're just having a bit of a chuckle because it's a similar situation now. Now, has he left the gap with this red? He has. He was a bit unfortunate because the brown actually moved the blue. He did leave a gap, but again, Nick seemed to rush that a little bit. We've seen that a couple of times in this last couple of frames. Well, that's frustrating for Nick. Even more so when he looks to see where the red has gone. So then, pink will put him back in front. Yep, just made sure of the pink. He's not perfect on the double. I'm not sure he's going to entertain himself with a double. He might just elect to play good safety. Yep, that looks the case. He's looking to send the cue ball into the bulk area. Now, where's this red going? Well, we saw Mike earlier on in frame 3 have a big fluke. This fluke isn't going to be as decisive, but that red could have easily wobbled in the jaws and stayed there. So he's very happy to see it find gravity. Now, has he got the snooker? Everyone's having a good look. Looks as if he can just get through to it. Not sure whether he could get to the potting angle. Now then, that changes things slightly. That foul 4 actually puts Nick in front by 1 point. So he'd need up to and including the blue instead of the pink now. And that's a terrific yellow. So all of a sudden, that in-off has played a big part here. Oh dear, this could be trouble. Wow, he's just managed to hit it full ball instead of half. If he hit the other side of the blue, he would have snookered himself. Good recovery shot. So then this blue, to put him 15 in front, with just 13 on. Just got to make sure of the blue you feel. And there it is. Now he's got to be sensible with the pink. Mike will obviously carry on. And if Nick does go on to win the match, which looks very likely now, he'll be relieved, because at 3-1 up, he was sort of in total control. But the last couple of frames, it has gone wrong for him. He has looked a little bit frustrated, but to his credit, he's come back in the second part of this frame. And last year's champion is still on course to defend his title. Yep, just electing to roll the pink over the pocket. And it's gone in. The players shake hands, and Nick Neale secures a 4-2 win against Mike Gillespie. That's, of course, not the end for Mike Gillespie. This is a round-robin event, so he's still got one more game to play at 4:30. That puts him on 1 win, 1 loss. Nick Neale is 2 from 2. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream for this afternoon session. We really appreciate your time in watching it. We are scheduled to be back on about 4:30 with a match from Group 6 game. But 4:30. There might be a little bit of a delay because I believe one of the players playing in that match is still playing his afternoon session match. So we'll be back with you shortly.